happening in the polity, and of course, we've seen political parties make an incursion, and of course, people who are dissatisfied. If you also remember, it was only recently that the Speaker of Nigeria's House of Representatives, Simbiat Abiola, lamented about situation of things concerning some members of his political party and other political parties. Now we're talking about the primaries. So moving on, we're looking at some movement by some people. But again, in the mix of this is also the conversation that for the first time in a long time, or in the history of Nigeria's political journey, we may be getting into a run of election, and that's owing to the personalities and of course the political parties that we've seen today. It's no longer a two-horse race as we always was always seen right from 1993. If you also recall, when we had a two-party election, the SDP and the NRC. Today on the discourse, I have someone you may not also know. Perhaps he will also be able to tell us his part in that election. That he played a big part in what has gone into history as Nigeria's freest and first election, talking about June 12th. He's just not a son of that, the winner of that election, but he's someone who was also a strategist in that election. Kola Abiola joins me today on the discus, and today he's the PRP Presidential Candidate. And good to have you, Kola Abiola.
Thank you for having me here.
I'll start by saying, first, I'm happy you're running, and I'll tell people why I'm happy that he's running. I remember it was over 4 years ago, we had that conversation on Political Stew on television, and we were a lot of people who sent messages then wanted Kola to run, and he said no, he wasn't going to run. And I paused again to also feature him when we had the June 12th talk in Abuja, marking June 12th. We also wanted him to run. I was the moderator of that event, and people started asking, why aren't you running? And Kola categorically said he's not ready to delve into politics. He's satisfied and okay with what he's doing at the moment. But looking at him today before me, and I say, I'm happy that you're running, and it gives me joy to ask you the question, why are you running?
Thank you. It all started off with finally being able to clinch the GCFR award for my late dad, MKO Abiola. Subsequently after that, it dawned on me that next year, 2023, will be 30 years of his election. And that sparked a big nostalgia in my thought process. And I decided, let me go back and trace my steps, see what I did then, see what I've learned from that election, the 1993 election, and how can I use what I've learned over time, from 79, the NPM, to 1992-93, SDP, to totally make a difference in the politics of Nigeria. That thought process led me to one thing that we need to disrupt, or using the word now, redemption, redeem the process. And I felt the only way I could do that is to make sure that we get the youth, the 18 to 36, very involved in the political process. They have the numbers, and if that numbers are put to play and they are made active, for once we will have a different political landscape. I've always been, and I'm still one to look at the numbers, and also going to change the narrative as much as I can. I've never been one to work based on what the numbers are. And the more I looked at it, the more I was convinced that it could be done. And the first step I did was to create the Tribe Niger app, which you were very involved in that direction, to bring all that youth together to talk. Have a common platform to discuss the problems of Nigeria. Have a common platform to see that there's no difference from the youth in Sokoto to the one in Lagos, Ogun, Taraba for that matter, what is lacking basically is leadership. And it's about time that they get involved in leadership. And the more after that launch, the more I delve into the analytics of the response I'm getting on the app and the statistics I'm getting, the more it's very obvious that we need to take them on a journey that allows them to not just exercise their right to vote, but also it's about time that they get involved in politics itself.
I recall it's just a little over a year ago that launch took place, and one of the very lucky Nigerians who made it to witness that launch at the Arizona Center. That was June 12th of 2021. And I also recall then we had a long list of young Nigerians who spoke. And now, help us now, you said something about changing the narrative and talking about the numbers. The time was when young Nigerians, they come on stream and, they give it a shot, and when nothing happens, they go back into their shells. And you just said something, I also recall my chat with you then, you told me about, well, I would like it or not, this is you, but again, whether I would like it or not, we'll also be talking about MKO Abiola. You said something about how you started. For a lot of people, they thought MKO Abiola came on the scene during the SDP time. And for you, you've been there. And let me link this with what we saw in 2019 quickly before I drop this. Young Nigerians, they came on, they contested, they ran. And for those who weren't lucky, they went into their shells, and we didn't see them again. So people said, wait, you already have the numbers. You're out there to change the narrative. You should be consistent and be there all in the faces of the people so that you can drive the process. So how is that working for those young people on Tribe Niger and those that you have been speaking with, which ultimately resulted in you finally saying, let me run?
You see, there's a process to this. There must be an avenue to exercise the right. The biggest complaints you get is that, look, our votes don't count. There's nobody to vote for. Even if you wanted to get involved, the way that parties are structured, they can't actually participate. And I took that on board, and I said, I thought we would be able to create a new political class in many ways from the tribe. But because of the new electoral act, that changed a lot of things. I needed to move a lot of things fast forward. So what I did was to look at those complaints, how I can make them, I could get solutions to those complaints. Looked at the array of 50, I think we have 18 registered parties in Nigeria. Looked at them all, and the more I looked, the more I figured that the best possible party to address those issues is the People's Induction Party. I didn't just walk into a party. I wasn't just looking for a party to carry a flag to run for president. No, I needed a party that could at least accommodate the change that I see coming. And I saw that PRP was that party. Why? Because it's been a people-based, oriented party for the past 50 years. Even if you count the NEPU years, a lot longer than that. It's the same party that elected Amino Kano, who didn't have a dime, or had Amino Kano as a presidential candidate.
So it's the same PRP?
Same PRP. It's the same PRP that had Parabe Musa in Kaduna, Bakinzo in Kano, Remy, the same party. It's all about people power. And I thought it was a good way to start. Number one. Number two, I wanted to show our youth that things were not necessarily the way they see it today. All they've seen or understand in the last 30 years is the politics of the PDP, PRP, basically money politics. And they've come to get accustomed to thinking that's the only way politics works. And I wanted to show them, look, it's a little different than that, and it can be changed, provided we are all committed to making that difference and making not just your voices heard, but your numbers count. These are that and many other reasons why I went into PRP, hoping that I can take them all along into that party to begin to build the change. That party has been what it is today. Why? Because they don't pay money politics. And because of that, you don't have the depth, the intellectual depth that you would have in other parties. But they're still there. It's been supported by very committed, loyal membership that in their own little ways have kept that party alive till today. It is the oldest party in Nigeria, believe it or not. And I also believe that because of its doctrine of people-oriented, Talakawa party, as they call it up north, it will still apply to the same youth of today who don't have the monies to play the big. Yeah.
Because it's very important.
Just a quick one.
Okay, go ahead. So you don't lose that.
This is only a party you can register online for 100 naira. PRP. Nigeria.org. Go there, it's 100 naira. This is only a party you can run for State House of Assembly for 100,000 naira.
I don't think people are aware of this.
Oh yeah, they are aware.
Politicians, let's say politicians.
We're aware because we have over 600 candidates in our party today running in different offices. We have of the 30 seats available for governors gubernatorial next year, we're filling 25 of them. So they are definitely aware. So yeah, they're not aware because they're not in that space of internet things and so on and so forth. But the guys down there know their party. They're loyal to the core to their party. And like I said, to run for governor, it's 1.6 million naira for a ticket. If you buy the whole ticket for a state, governor, senator, rep, state house of assemblies, at the very maximum 6 million naira. And that means you can buy a ticket today, so you can buy, you can pay for a membership today and run tomorrow in that party. Because we don't have any legacy issues. And that is what this country needs. It's a start. It's a clean start. You can go into a party that has no encumbrances whatsoever, no legacy issues, and go in there and begin to make a difference immediately. So these are the things, and that I felt would make the difference. And I've been saying this for the past 2 years.
Let me quickly drop this. For those listening to us, you can be a part of this. You can send in your messages, questions, comments for Kola Abiola, who's the PRP Presidential Candidate, on WhatsApp only. 0909-217-2973, 0909-217-2973. And I wanted us to talk more about the young Nigerians because you've been working with them and even before Tribes Niger, and now more so now that you're running. Speak to us on, because we just had the Ekiti election,
Right.
and every time you thought it was going to disappear, it reappears, and sometimes, in 100-fold, talking about money politics. And for the ideology of the PRP, which you spoke earlier on, how is that playing out with these young people who are your supporters and those you've been speaking to before now?
It's all about inclusiveness. It's all about owning the process. In a party like PRP, it's exactly just that, owning that process. These are, like I said earlier on, these are people who have used their own little 100 naira, 200 naira. You should go and say our party offices nationwide. They're funded. They're not high street party offices, but it is an office. Many a times when we're going to have meetings, we have to hire chairs. That's the kind of party that these guys have maintained in the last over the years. So it's about owning the process, and we will do, and you will see a lot more of that with the youth representation we have. Now, because we're grassroots based, we go out and reach at the very bottom. We start from the very bottom. When I joined this party, the first thing I did was to at least try to drum up membership of the party itself. It was all about PRP because that's the culture in that party. I am not joining a new age party where I need to make the right noise, but in the wrong medium, in the wrong space. I went around Nigeria, speaking to my party people, speaking to my delegates, speaking to them the way they understand, and in turn, I had been elected by a landslide to be their presidential candidate. It was no mistake because I went to go and meet with them. I didn't go on the air and go on the internet and start making a lot of noise because it's a party that has a tradition. It's a conservative party that has a tradition. So what I did was to go and meet them on their own terms, not to blow the airwaves and the internet on people that don't even care about that. to be honest with you. Now, the next step of that is where we're now getting into now. We have won that. We have taken them. I've shown to them that I come to join their party, not take over their party, because they're two very different things. You can't eliminate the guys who have maintained the party for 50 years. So I've shown them that, look, I'm truly a believer in this party. I'm truly a committed person to make, for the first time in 50 years, a difference in this party. For the first time in 50 years, we have fielded more, we've never fielded as many candidates as we have today. So for once, they see a chance of making a difference nationally. So I've come to them from that level, and now we're going to take the next steps to make sure that that is a reality.
And why do you think that is happening? Talking about the huge, awareness. You talked about, redeeming, the country, redeeming, Nigeria. But this awareness goes beyond PRP. Good. Now, speak to us about this. And does also Tribe Niger have a role to play
Exactly.
in what we're witnessing at the moment?
Exactly. We started this awareness. We raised the consciousness of our youth to the possibility that, look, it's up to you to make the difference, and only you. And I'll explain. My kids will tell me that your generation has failed us. And I tell them, well, we didn't quite fail you. You guys just don't go out to vote. That's more the issue. But now I am coming out to say, look, you know what, I will lead the way. I will bring my experience of years of understanding and being a participant in this process and show you how to make your voices not just heard, but your numbers will count. I, Kola PRP, will serve as that bridge, generational bridge, of taking the next generation, bring them into politics, bring them into governance, and bring them into leadership. And we will do that by making sure that I usually hold everybody in this process to make sure we get to the end game. And that's what that's the biggest role I have to play here. To date, check any other party, we have the youngest state exos anywhere in Nigeria. The PRP. In about 25 candidates for governor, we have probably the youngest candidates. In my ticket, you will have the youngest ticket running in Nigeria. I mean, probably in the history of Nigeria, short of the military, which is not, they were so young back then, but they want a democratic process anyway. But this is the difference we bring to this game. And not just that, we are saying that the target is to get 40%, at least 40% elected on this party across all electable offices.
Now let's dig into politics because
Yes.
those listening to you, they're wondering, Kola Abiola, businessman. And for a lot of people, they don't also know that apart from oil and gas, you're also into PR, you're also into media. They don't see you as a politician in the real Nigerian sense. And I open up by saying that you had a big part, to play in the run up to the 1993 election in Nigeria, and you were among the very first humans your dad spoke to before he publicly, spoke to the world about his intention to run. For those young Nigerians listening at the moment, and also those watching us, what would be your, talk, or your response to them when they say, well, Kola Abiola, are you a politician? Or how strategic can this be for us if we pull our resources and our energies, towards this project?
Well, to start with, I'm one against an excellency of Lagos, an excellency of the Federal Republic, an excellency of Alhambra, an excellency of Kano.
I'm excited you're aware of that.
But you know what? I have played politics in a way that they probably don't see it.
They
Why?
probably don't see it.
No, they don't, because it's all about strategy. I won an election against odds in 1993 by going there and not being a politician. I can look at and see things the way they don't see it. If I played it conventionally, we probably wouldn't have won. Even then, we went up against all the governors. I would say what the primaries in Jos. And it's the same thing right now. Everybody is going into the big parties and they're making a lot of noise. They're running campaigns as aspirants, like as if they're running for the president of Nigeria, forgetting that you have to be a candidate first. And guess what? I am on the ballot. I'm on the ballot. Come 2023, election day, you will see my name, my running mate, and the party there. It's all about that. So there's some method to my madness, and a lot of the strategies I've adopted is because I'm not a politician, and they're coming to play. So you need to give me a bit of credit here. I'm not doing it the conventional way. I'm not doing it the way you're used to. But it's all about doing it differently, not about the way we used to do it. I'm not in an ego race of any sort. I am just about delivering what I say I would. And at my age, I'm not here to just. I'm not here for a dry run. If I didn't see my strategy being effective and the possibility of actually getting there, I wouldn't step into the race. I am so sure I have a bigger than expected chance of making a difference in Nigeria. And I'm planning not just for the election by picking PRP, but I also plan for the post-election to govern, and that's why I'm also in PRP for those reasons. Because you need a system, you need a party that looks at the systems independently, has no stake in it, to correct and get Nigeria back on its feet. They can make policies that are not user-friendly, but are needed to make the change.
So you're aware that there are policies that are not user-friendly?
Oh yeah, a whole bunch of them. And that's because of special interest. We don't have special interest in VRP. We have never been in governance before. We've never had directors anywhere. We have never had nobody has written a road from the villa to any directorate on behalf of anybody. The party system itself hasn't milked the system. We don't have that encumbrances. We're going in there with a clean slate to look at things objectively. We have looked at and we know exactly how we want to do things, and we're going to go and do them. We don't have any encumbrances.
I know the campaigns are yet to officially start, but we started a series of letting people know the candidates. We've had PRP on this platform, and we've had representatives of other other candidates also on this program. And that is why it is important that we start talking about some of the key concerns. I'm happy you said something about the policies that are not user friendly, and looks like we need to change the microphone. No, you can do that while I talk. You can change this mic and quickly. Sorry, it's a live show. For those listening, we needed to change Kola's microphone so that you can get to hear him properly and better. And you can also move that closer to him so that you can get the audio. Apologies if you've been getting glitches from the microphone connected to Kola Abiola, our guest on the show. I hate to go on a break. I don't do that. So if it's a live, we give it live and we roll. And that's one thing that I noticed. Well, there's not a PR, and I'll say this because Kola is here. You remember when we did the June 12th, event in Abuja? He got to a point. He said, "Let's roll. Others will join us because Now, let's start talking about some of the key things now that you think we can do. Policies that can work, Kazim thinks. Policies that can work. Policies that Nigerians have seen that and said, wait a minute, these are not user-friendly. I'll give you an instance. I spoke to someone earlier today, and it has to do with just merely collecting refuse and dumping them, at the dump site. And you wouldn't believe it. Some of the concerns, I had gone online, screaming, only for me to be told that, hey, wait a minute, we got this contract at 200 and something naira per liter for diesel. Now, to buy diesel is about 800 naira.
Yeah.
So, and when we also get to the dump site, we spend about 3 days there. So you can imagine policies, and you get somewhere, you're stuck, and people are in a mess. Help us here. I don't want to go sector by sector, but I'll come back and I'll pick only 3 sectors: education, security, and of course economy. But overall, what are those key concerns, that has or have made you to run?
Well, good point. The system is broken. The system lacks leadership. It's all about leadership at the end of the day. Many of us want to be governors, senators, presidents, but it's all about being that office first, forgetting that you don't have policies in your kitty that you have in mind. And for me, the failure is in the conflict of all the apparatus of government. They don't speak in one voice. So one A is doing A, B has no idea what it's doing and is running on its own. And there's a need to streamline a lot of these things. There's a need to look at. Look, what we have done over time is instead of strengthening agencies, ministries, we find it so convenient, because I have my own personal agenda, to create another agency out of an agency, just to run my own agenda, whether it's personal, whether it's a vendetta, whether it's for whatever reasons, we create other agencies. So we have these whole agencies duplicating and doing exactly the same thing, instead of strengthening the original body over time and making it a lot better and more efficient. And by the time you dissipate all that, the irony is that you get people now, because that's the agency of the day, leaving their ministries or leaving their forces to want to get into that agency. So you're still recruiting the same people that you have abandoned in the original principal agency, and you have created these sub-agencies. And many of them, funny enough, don't even have a charter. So when you duplicate that, you're channeling funds in the wrong place. And that explains just about everything we do in this system, be it security, be it education, be it infrastructure, be it petroleum, name it. NEPA, for example, has gone from NEPA 1 unit to about 30 odd companies, all in the name of privatization. It's like when the GSM thing went, the licensing rounds was done. Do you have NITEL today? That's because the system was allowed to be efficient. Now the guys that bought NITEL didn't understand what they were buying, because NITEL was really the backbone of all the communications at that point, right? All they had to do, I mean, thank God for communication. I have an education, so I must know a bit of it. That was the golden goose for the family. NITEL had all the switches. It was the backbone of all our communications in Nigeria. So any other new company that came in still ran through the switching through NITEL. All you had to do was to strengthen your switching and strengthen your gateway in NITEL to give access. So everybody would. They didn't do that. They didn't see that because they didn't understand what they were buying. Instead, now every mobile company now has its own what's it called now? Backbone.
Yeah.
That's NITEL. Because Nigel didn't do, or the buyers or didn't understand what Nigel was all about. They were also just looking at it from a GSM perspective. And that's the problem with a lot of what we do. That we keep putting round pegs, trying to put round pegs in square holes. We keep privatizing things into people who don't see or understand what they're doing. And the same thing will happen for as long as you continue that. So the policies have to change. Education, for example, I use the example of our NYC, for example. Depending on whether you have 2 or 3
Is it the batches?
batches, right, a year. We graduate, we pass out close to 400,000, 350, 400,000 thereabouts. What that means is that if you look at the number, if you divide by the number of local governments we have in Nigeria, that's about 300 graduates per local government. But if you sit back and tell yourself, how many states can really come forward with 300 graduates a year, let alone a local government? It goes to show you the kind of educational system and where the bottlenecks and the flaws are. Some states can never not give you 300, let alone a local government. So you need to break down and analyze these things to understand where the problems are. The same thing with our security. The security, they don't speak to each other.
Someone said to me that, this is from Leo. Leo is listening, and he said, hello, Kola, it's my first time of hearing your party, the PRP. He's asking you to please come join the Labour Party.
Peter Bay is my very good friend. He will feel very offended if I get to take his position as a presidential candidate. You can only have one presidential candidate in one.
But really, how does it work? Because now I see that a lot of people running are friends, and yes, a lot of people running against each other, irrespective of the political party. These are friends, and it's a good thing for our democracy. But again, how does it operate when it gets into politicking? Because the campaigns will start.
Yeah.
Speak to us. I'm not asking you to give us a sense of how your campaign will look like. Oh, by the way, you were part and parcel of the SDP winning, campaign, right?
Right.
That's an evergreen one.
Well, yes. I've said this in the past. 29 years later, the scenario is not very different from what it was back then, 1993. The players are still exactly the same. It's only the 2 big parties. The other person missing is MKO. And if MKO was alive today, I can bet he wouldn't be running for office. So in this place I'm running. Okay? Now, it's the same actors, if you want to put it that way. So I really don't have a problem with His Excellency Ashwaju. No problem at all. I'm even closer to Waziri, the VP. Peter Obi is a friend. I respect him quite a lot. Our daughters are very close friends. By coincidence, nothing to do with us. And it's like that. It's all about wanting to deliver value to Nigerians. It's all about who brings the best value to Nigerians. And for us, at least for me, I've grown up never to have animosity against anything. You go out, Kola, you do your best. I promise to do it very transparent. And I have nothing to do but to deliver to Nigeria what and where it should be. That's my commitment.
Do you think the country owes you or your family, any form of support? No, since after the recognition and the national recognition of your father as the winner of that election. Once upon a time before then, the phrase is acclaimed winner. So now we're comfortable using the right word, the winner of that election. Do you think the Abiolas deserve more?
For me, Nigeria said thank you to MKO Abiola. They said a big thank you for everything he had done. the difference is made in our lives, in their lives, the difference in which he brought to young talent back then. Because what he did in many cases was to create an avenue for Nigerian Incorporated to flourish, be it media, sports, maybe. It's always about Nigeria first. By voting for him 2012 and 1993, that was their own way of saying thank you. Now, I am appreciative of President Buhari bringing that recognition with the GCFR. But the apology was to us is more to the people who actually voted for him, because they were robbed of their rights. And do Nigerians owe us anything? They don't owe us because they said thank you to the man already. And the voter today, 29 years ago, probably doesn't know exactly what's going on. So I'm not approaching the voter of today from owing me anything. I've come here to earn my keep. I've come here to show you it's all about being an equal opportunity employer. I've come here to tell you that see me, judge me, and on that basis, understand that I'm here sincerely to deliver value to you. Nothing to do with whether you owe me or like people say, because he's MKO, so that's why he wants to ride on that. First and foremost, it's about me bringing value. But also, yes, I can't run away from being MKO's son. But you know what? Till many are reading on that June 12th and the MKO thing, and they're still riding on it and still trying to ride on it to be president tomorrow, as in 2023. So what is so wrong with me? The custodian himself to want me to take it.
Messages are coming in. I'll drop this. Let me drop that before I bring the question. And it says, well, your mom, of blessed memory, Simbiat Abiola, was a great woman. Did she ever play politics? And how do you cope when she was a lecturer?
That's a very good one. My mom used to teach textile design in Yabatech. Back then, we used to go to school in staff school, University of Lagos. So we would walk over to wait for her to finish her classes, and then we go home. Yeah, she's without her, I don't think I would be what I am today for sure. All of us, including MKO. Yes, she did play politics. She played in the MPN days. My mom is one of those people that it's difficult to get her to tune in. But once she tunes in, she takes it on a lot stronger than you, like the original owner. So she put in a lot of energy and time into MPN Women's League with the late the late PRP woman.
Sabawa.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, then she was
Hajia Sabawa, yes.
Yeah, she was very, very active, political wise, and yeah. And also, if I can add,
go ahead.
She actually ran for Senate, also on IPM in 1979.
She did.
Yeah, and that's why I cut my teeth first in this game as a polling agent back then.
You were an agent.
Yeah, I was.
You see, there are a lot of things. You know, every time we have this rare chance of talking, a whole lot come to the fore. Now, off the top of my head, I can easily, play the campaign promo. Someone who's tired of this life, no light, no, XYZ. So, do you think if this goes the PRP way, wouldn't we be coming back to sing the same, song of lamentation, of nothing working? Because that was almost 30 years ago.
Unfortunately, yes.
We're still talking about no light, no food.
In 2022, we're still talking about no light. Things were bad back then. Things are worse today.
Okay, go ahead.
Things are worse today. things were worse today. Unfortunately, things haven't changed much, but they've gone back worse. They've gone for the, they're a lot worse today than they were back then. But you know what? We're not singing that song. We're not singing that song. Not in this campaign anyway for PRP. What we are trying to go, the song we're going to be singing is that in 4 years' time, from 2023, this is what you should hold us to. This is what you should expect from us. This is what are the milestones we would have addressed. No more trying to promise you what you should have gotten anyway. No. Everybody comes in and says, I will do this, I will make power, I will correct this. For how long do you want to continue to do that? And we're going to come to you and tell you as a party that this is what you should expect from us in 4 years' time. And this is what we plan to deliver. And we will deliver on those things because we're looking at it. And because we can come in and do the right things at the right time. We don't have the hangers, the legacy problems. We don't have the special interests to deal with. We are just here to make that change. All I'm living for now at 60 is a legacy. That's all I'm living for. A legacy that I inherited, a legacy that I will leave for the children that are coming behind.
You know, some had thought that if you were coming into politics, you would have been in any of the other, major parties. Was there a point in time you were asked to join any of those other parties?
It was never an option for me. Never.
They were never an option?
They were never an option. Look, I'm here to create change. I'm all about disrupting the process. I'm all about doing it differently. How would I do and achieve that? By going into those two parties. It just doesn't make any sense. It just wouldn't work. So I needed to be able to show that it could be done differently. I needed to be able to show that, look, what you see and how the process works doesn't necessarily mean it's the right way to do things.
Okay.
And that is why I decided to do it totally differently and go into a party that I believe had value, and is more accommodating of the concepts I have and my approach to politics I have. In 1993, we ran a very unconventional election campaign, despite what anybody thinks. We ran it based on technology of the day.
Of the day?
Yeah.
In the 90s, early 90s?
Yeah, of the day. We ran an election based on technology on the day. Trials 090s and a lot more. We could predict the results. The results we had were plus or minus 5% in each state. So I ran it very unconventional to the point that I had to fight everybody to make sure we ended up with the Muslim ticket. Not because we were playing religious games, but it was just politically expedient at that point to do it. Unlike today, that's a big issue. No, it was a political expedient decision to do. All the party offices have been zoned to other zones. The leadership of the party then had assumed the presidential candidate would come from the north. We came from the southwest instead. And what does that leave the north? Empty, out of power. So it was a politically expedient decision to make, and I stuck by it, and I stood by it, and it worked. And that's why a lot of things are strange about Kola at times, and I think and as a result I misread. I walk to a script. I run things like a boot camp. I don't allow it to change much, except we're still heading in the same direction. And because of that, I misread. But believe me, I resist going against the general tide. I just stick to my script. And it always works.
Let me jump on a general tide, and it has to do with how I started the show. A lot of people, quickly this here, I'll take this before I drop that. And this one here says, great to hear you speak, my Egbo. I agree with you 100%. The several agencies and silos, operations across agencies, processes must be mapped with policies as the critical success factor for all interventions meant for sustainable development. This is from Shade Adebanjo. Shade, thank you very much for listening and following us. By the way, for those, if you missed out on this, you can actually catch up on our YouTube channel. And I was going to ask you, let me run on the bandwagon of comments now that we hear from politicians, and they say, because I set it up this conversation by bringing that, they say we should expect a runoff in 2023. Do you share in that?
No, I don't. I don't for a few reasons. Number one, they're assuming that it's politics as usual. All this talk about structure and all that. This so-called structure thing, many times it's the biggest fraud in the game.
Oh, really?
Oh, it is. You can see, you saw that from the primaries. You saw that from the primaries. It's the biggest fraud in the game. That's number one. Number two, we have at least, and counting, 15 million new voters in this game. Majority of them are in that 18 to 38 demographic group. Please tell me, what do they know about structure? All they care is about who would deliver and bring them significant, not just change, significant change and transparent leadership.
I'd like to pick on that one. Who? It looks like you're particular that they look at the individuals, not the party.
Not the party. They don't look at party. They don't care about the party. All they're looking for, because those two parties have failed. The two big parties have failed them over the years, and they've always been able to get away with it because they don't turn out. This time they are going to turn out, and this brings me to a big point.
How are you sure they're going to turn out this time?
You see the wave of registration going on today. It's unprecedented, to the point that the INEC chairman himself is holding concerts and going out there to assure them that their votes will count. Just get registered first. And this brings a big problem also. Why? Because if you take that 15 million, I think, to date, only 8 million have completed the process. So a lot of us have to not assume because we registered online, that's the beginning and the end of it. You still have to go into the centers to go and get your biometrics and complete the process. That's number one. Number two, a lot of them, 8 million of them are students. Well, they've hardly been in school in the last year. So they may be at home and registered at home. If by the election day they go back to school, what happens? They must be able to go online to change their registration centers, their voting address. And if that, not just change, but it has to be able to get effective immediately.
That's a big point.
Yes, a very big point.
Out here.
One last bit also is the fact that, look, do you really need to have your card? That's another thing, because I think the law says you have to have your voter registration card. We have to make sure those cards are available. And in the event that they're not even available to them, we may have problems if there is a change, if they're back in school as opposed to where they registered. Okay? Now, the new BVAS system, right, should be able to sort that out. We must be able to accommodate that option, because all it needs is that once you're already in the system, once you put your biometrics in, your picture comes up, you should be able to vote. These are all issues that we need to look at. So we don't disenfranchise the biggest group. I am trying to tell, need to make that difference. So you see, these are things that they don't talk about that because they know.
You know, I'm happy you said something, and it also worries me. And it looks like for anyone who is evil in his or her intent, may want to do that and say, wait a minute, when it's close to election, let's ensure that these people are back in school. And if you're back in school, you can't actually quickly, within the speed of,
even if you can,
available time, change your location.
It's costing money to go back to your location. How many people can afford to go back just for 2 weeks? No. Or just for, I showed you say you're giving them 2 weeks holiday for the election. To just go back after being home for almost a year and then come back to school again, who's going to be able to afford that? So these are issues that need to be looked at and dealt with.
And well, I'll come back and ask, and I don't know, but it might be too early if the parties have started having this conversation with INEC as an electoral umpire. But quickly here, this one here says it's a little bit long. Ah, come on, this is well. I'll see what I
Editorial.
can take. Yes, it is, and it's from Osa. I had to go down to look up for the name Osa from Abuleg, but let me see if I can just do this quickly here. Uh, because important messages here. He said, I've always, he said, good day, Kola and Sulaiman. I've always heard of PRP, but I thought they perished with the Second Republic. I haven't heard of it since the 1993 Third Republic. I've always known Kola to be a businessman, not that much into politics. He says some of the PRP members came out for some positions. I don't think they ever, there's ever any post. So I stand to be corrected. Maybe he's saying that he's not heard of any other one apart from you. Then he also goes to say another thing is that the PRP is quite invincible to most people, especially the youth. Kola is smiling. He's going to answer to that. On the point of why the youth recoiled into their shells, it is showing in the sense that the old politicians are trying to push their children into elective positions and hold it like a monarchical heirloom. This is the same way jobs in government parastatals are held for the children. Well, lastly, I just jumped to the last part. As far as I'm concerned, this is Kola's first visibility in politics. And I did vote for MKO in that 1993 election. This is from Osai in Abulegba listening to us.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, well, maybe this is Kola's first public involvement in politics. Kola has always been in politics, like I said, 79. My mother's Saituna race. I traveled the length and breadth of Nigeria with my father under the NPN flag. And 92, 93, 94, a lot of all the good work you saw was done by me. But I'm not the candidate. I wasn't the candidate. I'm not supposed to be the candidate. MK was the candidate. And the way manner in which MKO and Kola related, Kola is the one doing the back work. As long as you see the results.
And
you got the results.
And you had the situation room then, as far
Absolutely.
back. Because I asked, no, tell us more about, because before it was annulled, you already saw that. You won the election.
The 10th floor of the Hilton hotel in Abuja. We had 2 suites there. We had a dashboard with all the results coming in, and like I said, the results were just plus or minus 5% accuracy, and we did that work. I was the one that went ahead of every team, every visit. I was the same one that when we picked the Muslim ticket, I combed the whole Middle Belt, Christian Belt, from Adamawa to Southern Borno, to Bauchi, Plateau, Jos, Southern Zaria, or Southern Kaduna, it's called Zaria, and brought the whole Equa cooking can leadership together to give them the assurance that look, a Muslim ticket wasn't a threat to them. And all the jingles you saw, all that jingles, MK was our man, this is Kola. This is Kola coordinating the whole thing. So,
are we likely to? Sorry, I caught you here. Are we likely? I spoke to someone, and even amongst my colleagues, we woke up Sunday. We said, "Wait a minute, we're not getting to see, you know that feverish, pitch you get in politics. Number one, in terms of jingle, and that is what is also absent in terms of enlightenment and sensitization within agencies to enlighten people." Now you are at the top of that, creation of that copy. You worked with that fantastic team. I'm trying to remember the old man's name.
Chief Odusi.
Yeah, Chief Odusi. Yeah. Yes, I remember that. So, are we about seeing something, catchy that will not only be catchy, but send home a message that resonates with everyone who's listening? To saying, wait a minute, let me pause and listen. This is about me.
Will. Yes, you will. Like I explained earlier, my first phase was to assimilate into the party, and assimilate in a manner that I don't threaten their structure. I have done that. I can assure you in the next 3 months, you will see a different Kola and PRP. And in 6 months' time, you will only have one discussion.
In 6 months.
Only one discussion.
Because I'll tell you this.
Within now and the next 3 months.
I'll tell you this because it's important that that does happen. And before we go, I also like to for you to tell us more about the PRP. It was only after we spoke with Peter Obi, then he was a member of the PDP. It was on the discourse here. He gave an inkling that he was leaving the PDP live on the show here. And since after he joined the Labour Party, the Labour Party became so popular. Perhaps that's why our listeners are saying, Kola, this is the first time we're hearing about PRP of although PRP, I thought PRP died with Second Republic. So what are we likely to see and feel about the PRP in the days, you said about 6 weeks or so?
Yeah, you will. We're gonna, everything we're doing is to reposition PRP. And we're at the final phases of that. So you're going to see a PRP blitz to start with. The rich history, the amino canons, like you said. Believe it or not, we were the first in 1979. 1979, we had a presidential candidate in Amino Kano who had a female running mate from Edo State. Female running mate from Edo State. It's for a party that's supposedly a northern party, Muslim party, fielding a female running mate. And there's so many such firsts that we've had. You will see the rich history of how we governed in Kano and Kaduna State, the old Kaduna State and the old Kano State. You will see what we bring to the table going forward. You will see how young and how live and how youthful our candidates are. You will see that there are places where people's surnames are PRP in Nigeria. Not that's their surname because they are known to be diehard PRP members. You will see such things in the next few weeks. You will see our candidates from a very youthful perspective. You will see that we're bringing true change and value to politics. And we're going to be doing politics the old-fashioned way. We're going to be pounding the pavements and shaking their hands. You will see us in every... I call out for one as presidential candidate. I'll be campaigning with every candidate we have in this country, from local government to House of Reps to Senate to gubernatorial, including my own campaign. So we're bringing a lot of change. We're changing the whole political landscape. The kind of individuals we're going to bring into the fold are ones that you never would have expected will be in the political history in Nigeria. And that's what we're going to be doing.
Well, anyway, if you're watching, you can see his fate, and yeah, that's why he's going to do that. So if you're a councillor of PRP, expect Kola to come campaign for you, because he has the energy. I'd like to thank you for your time, and I'm hoping that we'll do this again. We'll give you time. Yes, we'll give you time, inshallah. Yes, we'll give you time to spread. We'll give you that time once the campaigns, start. We'll bring you back again so that these listeners who are dying to know more about your party and about how you can actually change things, that's what we can actually dig into. But for now, we're just going on the periphery because the campaigns haven't started. So if you just joined us, we're closing. Thank you for your time. You can go online and listen to the program and also watch pretty much later. Our guest today on the discourse has been Kola Abiola. He's the presidential candidate of the People's Redemption Party. Yes, the same old People's Redemption Party. I'm Sulaiman Aledeh. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.